Oh, my friends. What's going on today? How you feeling? Feel okay? Are you not entertained? I'm entertained. I hope you are too. Welcome, everybody. This is Green Bean, and welcome to episode 96 of GreenBean's Jets Pod. I am happy you are here with me today. Guys, this is what we can do. We can console, we can hug, we can embrace, and we can try to make an attempt at being constructive, objective, to get to the actual truth of the story. Let's get to the bottom and cut it out with the ridiculousness, huh? We can try to do that. Maybe we will. I think we did a pretty good job this week in the live stream. The Jetnation, Jets Chaos, Green Bean Jets fan live stream this week was a hootenanny. If you're not there with us, man, you should consider checking in. If you're just out there watching the game by yourself or anything, you should check in with us. We do it every single week right here on this channel and Jetnation as well. But you know, man, look, we're Jets fans, right? And you have to look at this whole thing as a collective, as one large work, artistic project. The whole thing, from the 1960 incarnation of the New York Titans, all the way to the Robert Saleh Joe Douglas New York Jets of today. You got to look at it all. And if you've been around for any length of time, you know you have varying feelings, experiences, thoughts, ups and downs, a lot of downs. I've been hanging out a lot in the bottom. And if you look at that, if you consider all of it, not just the last 18 seconds, if you consider all of it, you'll come to a conclusion. I think you will. I'm going to try to help you get there today. We're going to see if we can do it. Before I do, I want to remind you of just a few little tiny things. One is, if you're here and you're thinking, hey, I'm having a decent time, hit the thumbs up button. It helps us a great deal over here, more than you'd think. YouTube loves it. We love it. If you could just go ahead and click that thumbs up button. If you have not subscribed to the channel, now is a perfect time to do so. We are selecting random subscribers. You got to be subscribed to get hoodies, t-shirts, all from the Green Bean merch store, Star Wars figures, spatulas, football cards, all kinds of stuff, Green Bean stickers. We're doing that all this month because it is about to be our 2-year anniversary, December 31st. Our YouTube anniversary, man, 2 years. And we're looking to celebrate that with getting to 10,000 subs. We're cruising. I'm like 350, 340 away right now. 340. We can do it. So if you haven't subbed, please do. I'd be greatly appreciated. I would be appreciated. No, I would appreciate you. I would be appreciative. That's what I would be. So if you'd consider that, anybody who's already subscribed, of course, you know already. I am extremely grateful for you. I love our interactions. I love that we get this time together. Some of you are pissing me off lately, I got to admit. But that's okay. You did it last year too. It's what we do. It's part of the gig. It's what we're doing here. So thank you, and thank you to all the guys driving around in your car and everybody listening on audio format. I appreciate you guys too. It's growing every single week, and I'm thankful, truly. And if you'd like even more Green Bean content and access and hangout sessions and all that sort of stuff, early release, you can join the greatest group of all time, the Beanbaggers. The link is in the description of this video. Go ahead and click on there and join us. Join us in there. What a great group of people in there. The interactions are daily. There's just a steady, extra private conversation going on in our Beanbagger Discord, and we do private game streams and all 22 breakdowns. It's a good time. We'd love to have you. You can join and help support the channel as well. Don't forget about that. I greatly appreciate that as well. And the last thing, I want to tell you about the sponsor for this show. Green Bean's Jets Pod is now sponsored by none other than Manscaped. If you don't know what Manscaped is, this is the Lawnmower 4.0, by the way. Manscaped is the best in men's below-the-waist grooming. Their products are precision-engineered tools for your family jewels. Manscaped's Performance Package, which is the package that I personally have, is the ultimate men's hygiene bundle. Join over 7 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with this exclusive offer just for you. If you use my promo code GreenBean, you will save 20%. You can get products just like this. I use this every single day, guys. I love it, love it, love it. The Performance Package is badassery in its purest form, and the link is in the description to get to Manscaped's website and use the promo code at checkout GreenBean to save an additional 20% and get yourself a little bit of free shipping. And we thank Manscaped for sponsoring GreenBean's Jets Pod. So guys, we lost another one. We did. We lost another game, but it's interesting. It's not the same kind of loss that we have been. Now, people say, a loss is a loss is a loss. No, you're wrong. You're 100% incorrect. Your record is what you say you are, or you are what your record says you are. No, that's wrong too. A loss is a loss is a loss. I don't know, guys. I don't think I agree, because here's the thing. You're going to tell me, let me just use one example. We lost the Vikings game and the Bills game. By the way, two of the upper echelon teams in the league. There's only one team in the league that has a better record than the Bills and the Vikings. Only one. You know who it is? Yeah, the Eagles. You got it. Very good. There's only one team, so they are among the upper tier of the league. 10-2, 10-2. We lost by one score at the very end of the game. We were in it till the end to both of them. Last year, we lost a game 54-13. Now, is that the same? Is that the same? Is a loss a loss a loss? Opening day last year, we were all excited. We went into that game. I even got to sit my first game next to one Matt O'Leary. It was so beautiful. We were so happy. And we watched a complete drubbing, 4 interceptions. We saw 4 interceptions from the Rook. Is that the same as today? Because let me tell you something. I was excited. The only period of time I wasn't excited during the Bills game was when Joe Flacco came in. And we'll get to all that. But that was the only time I went, All right? Let's see if the... Wait, let me see. There it is. I got to figure this. I'm still figuring this out. That's what it was like. We walked into this stadium. Oh, no, I was talking about Flacco. That's what it was. Yeah, Joe Flacco came out. I went like this. And then Mike White came back, and I went, yay! Where is it? All right. Woo. That's what it was like. So other than that period of time, I was pretty much excited. You could like to see some more points, but our team was in it the whole game. That opening day, 2021, we were bored after the first 12 minutes and not 12 minutes game time. I mean 12 minutes. We sat there like this, me and Matt. Every now and then I'd look at him and go, how you doing? He's like, yeah. And we had some guy in front of us telling us the offensive game plan should be to punt it on first down because it's better and we have a better chance of our defense. And me and Matt every now and then would go, this guy. Oh, I know. That was after 12 minutes of, come on, baby, we're going to win. 12 minutes later, it was over. We sat there for 2.5 hours, completely miserable. A loss is not a loss, is a loss, okay? I'm going to tell you. Now, as far as records are concerned, yep, sure, you have numerics, right? And I always tell you, box scores are, okay? I always love arguing with people on Twitter. There are those guys, they come out and they pretend they know stuff, right? Like me, I'm a little bit ridiculous. Most of the stuff I know. right? I come from an era where if you had to know something, you had to go to a library, get an encyclopedia, maybe National Geographic, look at some boobies real quick. But you had to get a book, you had to look at it, you had to ingest the information, you had to remember it, or else you didn't know. But that was it. Now everybody's a statistician, everybody's a genius. You want to know why? No, actually, it was 46 yards in the second half. You don't know anything. That's what people do now. That's what people do. And they're so easy to spot. You know what I mean? Because you try to get past the numerics and they don't know anything. They're like, yeah, well, I don't know about that, but I'm just saying 46 yards in the second quarter. Like, very good. And I choose not to even dive in because I already know what they are, right? The box score, while invaluable, incredibly important, does not tell the whole story. It doesn't. Like when someone throws 355 yards, you think it's a good day. Well, sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. But you got to know the story, right? I believe in the story. So what is the story? What story are we talking about? Am I grabbing an encyclopedia again? Oh, I know what story it is. Let's talk about this week's game in the news of the week. All right, you want the good or the bad news? Remember, if somebody asks you that, always ask for the bad news. Always. You want to know why? Because they tell you the good news and the bad news pulls the rug out from under it. Just get to the bad news and then, hey, now you know. You know what I mean? You might get a little sugar on the bad news. You don't get the good news first, right? So I'm going to give you the good news anyway. That's because I broke my rules. That's how it goes. I can, right? That's what I do. So the good news is this. We just watched this week, well, the whole season up to this week, but it became official this week. Unless he runs backwards and catches a whole lot of negative passes in the coming weeks, we just watched a record-breaking receiving season by a New York Jets rookie. Number one of all time. Do you understand? And the last time that we had numbers like this was 1996. That's 26 years ago. Keyshawn Johnson. And here's the other thing that came with it. I don't know if you guys remember this. A lot of people don't. Or now you might not even know in the first place. Again, blah, blah, blah. And I don't got to look it up. Watch, I know this. Not only did Keyshawn, who I loved, by the way, he was the guy I wanted. There were rumors they were going to take running back Lawrence Phillips. I was miserable till the second they said his name. Okay, I was like, please, please. That's what I was like. They picked him. I loved him the whole year. Neil O'Donnell sucked. Couldn't even get him the ball. Without Neil O'Donnell, Keyshawn would have done much better. But he gets 844 yards, but at the end of the season, you know what he did? He wrote a book called Just Give Me the Damn Ball, ripping everybody a new ass. He had that rift with Wayne Corbett. He didn't like Wayne Corbett because he was a 5'10" guy, shouldn't even been on the same field as him, in his words. So that's the stuff. Not only, yes, we had a great player. We loved him, but we had to deal with that. With it. And you had to just, it's all right. It's okay. Yeah. We had to deal with that. You remember? I used to get poked at bars. Hey, you read Keyshawn's book? Like that kind of shit. Yeah, I read it. But that's the stuff. Do you see Garrett Wilson doing that, guys? Garrett Wilson broke the Jets rookie receiving record today, and he still got 4 games. Okay? Well, how did he do today? How did Garrett Wilson actually, he had 6 receptions for 78 yards, a 13-yard average with a 16-yard long. Garrett Wilson, I can't say enough about him. I really can't. I love Garrett Wilson so much. I would happily just, come on. I would do that with him all day long. I love him. I love everything about him. I love his attitude. I love how rah-rah he is on the sidelines. I love everything about Garrett Wilson. He's got balls. He gets dinged up. You see him. He goes to the sideline. He's like, don't worry about it. I'll be fine in a second. That's how he is. He comes back in, and he works his ass off. And he's so good. Congratulations. He's won 3 or 4 Rookie of the Weeks. He could very easily get up there again and win it. They're not going to put him up there. They can't. He'll win it. They know it. So that's great news, guys. And that can't be undervalued. Like, look, last week we had the longest field goal in New York Jets history. Do you see this stuff that's just stacking up? It's just stacking up. We have players. We have real tried and true players. Sauce Gardner, if he keeps going, he's going to win Rookie of the Year defensively. And he's more than likely, he's got a very real chance to win All-Pro. That's what we're talking about. And dude, Garrett Wilson keeps doing this crap. He might win Offensive Rookie of the Year. And that's after a guy that we had that was a shoo-in. And he got injured in Breece Hall. There's good news. Our other rookie today, guess what he did? He blocked the punt. He strung out the edge of the line numerous times. The guy's a stud. They just have they gotta, it's like there's no room. We have so many studs on the line. How do you take Jermaine Johnson, Bryce Huff? You got JF, you got all these guys. Jermaine Johnson is a find, and he's just another one. He's playing, but he's just simmering. Got so much good stuff. So that all happened today. But we lost. We lost to a now 10-win team, arguably the best team in the NFL. Before the season started, odds-on favorite to get to and win the Super Bowl. Widely considered the top team in the NFL. Number 1 defense, Josh Allen, Diggs, all the guys. We beat them a few weeks ago in our house, went up to, Orchard Park, Orchard Mountain. We went up there to the cold sleet of Buffalo. And let me tell you something, without a few key mistakes, just a few key, and not even mistakes, some of them. A lot of them were, but I had a few just little handful of stuff. Dude, we took this team to the ropes. And we had it. We could have won. No, we didn't. So you can't, it is what it is. But again, 4 interceptions opening day. No offense to speak of. Some running game later. Or taking the Buffalo Bills to the last second in Orchard Field. They're not the same. They're not the same. They speak volumes. They tell a different story. And again, sure, we lost 2 in a row. Well, we didn't lose 2 in a row to the worst teams in the league. We didn't lose 2 in a row getting blown out 45-6. It's a whole different thing. So what did happen? What was the score? 20-12. We lost by 8. How'd that happen? Well, we had a first half where the offenses couldn't do anything. It was a defensive game. And you can look at our offense and say we sucked. And then you can look at our defense and say that we were great for holding the Buffalo team. Or you can say this. We have 2 stud defenses out there bettering the offenses. That's what was going on. Now, there was some sloppy here. There's some sloppy there. Josh Allen threw it high. Mike White threw it low. Of course, those things are happening. But what we really saw in the first half was a defensive game where the offenses couldn't quite get it together. Now, I'm going to add this because I'm a Jets fan and I'm looking at it through this lens. The pre-snap penalties that we were gathering up, scooping them up, yeah, we'll take another one. Yeah, oh yeah, sure, I'll have another one. That's what we were doing in the first. We got, I think, 3 or 4 pre-snap penalties on first. So we're starting drives 1st and 15, 2nd and 15, like that kind of stuff. That doesn't help. And that was going on. Crazy, just dumb penalties. In the first, I believe it was the first quarter, at least it was the first half. Our starting wide receiver goes down again, Corey Davis, who, by the way, is having he's really, to me, looking like the player that we hoped he was this season. Truly. And he had his season high in receptions last week with 5 for 85 yards. I don't know how long the Jets can count on him. I don't know with the injury thing. He's injured a lot. I don't remember how many games he missed last year. I think he was out 2 stints. This year, this is his second stint out. I mean, he's on the percussion protocol. Let me see something. Wait, does that work? Yeah. That's more of a jokey thing, but it's a drum. Percussion. He's in the concussion protocol, so obviously you hope he's okay. He looked a little bit rattled. I thought he would come back, but you know how they are with the head stuff. He, in my opinion, but what do I know? He looked fine to me, but I don't know. So hopefully we'll get him back. Maybe he won't be out too long. But either way, it's just kind of becoming a thing. It's like, you got guys that are more dependable, and you got guys that are injured a lot. And I don't know how much you want to give $15 million contracts, $13 million contracts to guys that are out 5-6 games a year. I don't know. But Corey Davis goes out. And you know what happened? You guys know what happened in this game? There's like, I don't know, a minute and a half, whatever it was, at the end of the first half. The Jets defense holds them again. The Jets offense is going to get one more crack to get some points before the first half ends, and then the Jets were receiving the ball in the second half. And I got to say, it's one of those things where you go, what was that? There has to be a reason, right? Somebody tell me something happened, right? A guy that's considered widely considered the most, if not the one of the most cerebral players we have on the entire defense. Very intelligent. Football acumen is through the roof. Situational awareness through the roof. C.J. Mosley, the captain of the defense, 4th and 1. They're clearly trying to get us to jump because it's on I think they were on the 50. They could have gotten it. I understand being concerned that they're going to, I get it. Because they can get it. But I don't know if they were willing to risk it at that point. 50-yard line. I don't know. It was just, I don't think so. It looked to me like they were clearly trying to make us jump. They looked kind of disengaged. And Dawson Knox comes and goes under center. And C.J. Mosley loses his marbles and dives Palomalu style over the center and tackles Dawson Knox, I think it was. And the Bills players and fans, but the players in particular, went nuts. It was a dream come true. A dream come true. They were laughing. They were high-fiving. They couldn't believe it happened. Oh, my God, it worked. This never works. So the Jets were going to get the ball back with between a minute and a half and 2 minutes left in the half. And instead, they march down and get a touchdown. Their only touchdown of the half. So in my opinion, it was a gift. Hey, how would you like 7 points? Huh? How does that sound? Yeah. You know what? Take it. No, really, take it. We don't need it. Take it. You're welcome. That's what it was like. Now we had 22 seconds or something. I wanted them to throw a couple Hail Marys. I still think they should have. I don't know why they won't. I don't know. We'll get to that in the Intelligent Gripe. We're going to talk about some of these coaching things in the Intelligent Gripe today. But that all aside, we gave them 7 points. Now, the good news is the Jets came right back, first drive of the second half, and punched them square in the face. Drove right down there. Beautiful, sharp passing game. Fantastic running, largely by Bam Knight. Just a beautiful drive. Beautiful. Right into their end zone. So it was tied. So whatever happened, it's over. It's 0-0 again. You know what I mean? Now the problem is Buffalo took the second half energy and they went down the field and scored 2. So now C.J. Mosley's mistake becomes mad again. Hey man, at the end of the day, that's what we lost by, was that touchdown. So, I'm sure C.J. Mosley is not happy. I know, of course not. And what do you do? What do you say? He doesn't do that. He doesn't do that. But he did it. Just like last week, Berrios. Out of all the players you have, if you're like, we have one chance 10-yard pass in the end zone, last second of the game. Who do you want to be the receiver? Berrios is in the discussion. He is a lock. He's clutch. He's got ice in his veins. You know this. Berrios has ice in his veins. He dropped it. Now today, Berrios is a different story. We'll talk about that in a second too. But up to that point, like maybe, of course, you could say, no, I prefer Garrett Wilson, or I prefer Elijah Moore, of course. But Berrios is in the equation. He's one of the more reliable players on your team. You have no Berrios, sure, he's going to get it. He's going to catch it. It's what he does. Great hands. It's like he always has one or two real big flubs a year. It hits him in the hands, it flies up, and it's a pick. We've seen that. We've seen that twice, actually. It happened in 2020 and 2021. So he does that from time to time, but it's like, do we win the game if the most clutch guy we have catches the damn ball? We win there, or at least we don't lose the game by that touchdown if one of the most clutch guys we have on defense just doesn't do the most boneheaded play you've ever seen. So we saw that. And look, guys, it was a game. But I'll tell you what. I had a friggin' good game. Again, I would have liked to see more scoring. There was shit happening, frustrating. Look, watching Garrett Wilson get walloped out of bounds and yet again, no flag. This is 2 or 3 late hits, both feet out of bounds, getting crushed and no flag. I don't know what it is. The Jets should make a formal appeal. This is complete horseshit at this point. So there's frustrating things. I was upset, I was up, I was down, but I watched a damn good game today. I watched the New York Jets team not only hang, but put them on the ropes. The best team in the NFL, or one of. I don't get it. So we saw all sorts of fun stuff. We saw our undrafted free agent running back have another great game. Now, he didn't have, last 2 weeks, he's had 100 yards of offense in each of those weeks, and 100 yards plus. This week he didn't do that. He got 78 or 77 total yards, 71 on the ground, and he had a reception for 6. But we saw 6 receptions by Garrett Wilson. Again, breaking the rookie receiving record for the New York Jets. We saw Elijah Moore with his best game of the season. 6 receptions for 60 yards. Saw Mimsy get 3 targets. Getting some hard-earned yak. Tyler Conklin got himself 5 receptions. He still had some sloppiness. Tyler Conklin, I don't know. Berrios had that beautiful catch. So Berrios, let's talk about Berrios. So I don't think Berrios handled that drop very well last week. He came into this game, he looked like a different player. Dare I say, it looked like Berrios might have the yips. You know what the yips are, guys? It's when you're indecisive. You can't make a move. Yeah, do I throw it? Do I hold it? That's the yips. I'm scared. Like, you're overthinking it. You're up here instead of just feeling the game and reacting. That's the yips. Berrios decided to let a punt hit the ground, and he was on like the 30-yard line or something like that. No, that's where you fair catch it, bro. He fair catches sometimes on the 4-yard line. Why are you letting one at the 30 drop? And it might be on the 25. Forgive me. It was in that range, right? Then he does even worse the next punt. Scared the hell out of all of us. And he pulls like a Santonio Holmes type of a move, and he decides to duck under it the last second. Now, thankfully, it didn't hit him. But what the hell's going on here, right? It freaked us out. Now, I don't know what that was. In my opinion, that drop messed him up. He's being very hard on himself. He's really wanting to make it up to the team. When that happens, you're putting too much focus, too much stress. You end up making more mistakes and you look worse. That's what happens. The more emphasis you put on something, the more importance you place on something. Another way to say it is, how will they perform under the bright lights? What do you mean by the bright lights? Is he blind? No. It's the stress of the moment. There are guys that show up when when the moment is there, when they need to, when you need a guy to step up in the moment, there are guys you do and there are guys you don't. And there are even guys you don't that you think are great players, but you don't want it in their hand. Not him. You guys know I'm a big Mims guy, big Mims supporter. I hope that he continues to just progress so he can become, everything that his potential led us to believe. I think if he just keep it up. But do you think I would have put him on the list to be the last guy to catch that pass last week and against the? No, that's not the guy I want. And I'm a Mims guy because I'm real. I'm a realist. So when Berrios, but the thing is, what I'm seeing with Berrios, though, is he had a couple returns that were good. Some good returns, solid. Nothing great, but solid. And he had that gorgeous catch from that gorgeous pass by a gorgeous young man named Michael White. Beautiful play. Berrios, you got to give it to him. So I see a guy clawing back. He's fighting through it. He's not succumbing. And I respect that. I like that. So why did we lose the game, guys? Why did we lose? What happened? We got all kinds of records and receivers, and you got great running. We had more yards than them, right? Our quarterback was 268, no interceptions, no touchdowns, but no interceptions. Their quarterback had 147 and a touchdown. Shouldn't have lost there. So I'll tell you why. It's very simple. Because it wasn't Mike White. It wasn't Garrett Wilson. It wasn't Sauce Gardner. It wasn't any of those things. There's a few things, the reason we lost the game. Number one, not in order of importance. I was going to tell you the reasons we lost. Okay? This is what it is. Number one, we already talked about it. The C.J. Mosley brain cramp. It was huge. It's a touchdown. The Mike White injury, huge. Like I said before, the only point in that game when I wasn't engaged and hopeful and thinking we're going to win this game was when Joe Flacco came in, the fumble, and Fant went out, and the guy who replaced Fant, I think it was Remmers, he got beat, Flacco fumbled. It was like a mess. Instantly, Mike White goes out, Flacco, mess. Until Mike White ran out of that locker room, the Jets, it was all over them. Now, we lost Quinnen Williams, so that's another huge one. Huge. The best player on our defense. CJ may be the captain and all that stuff, and his importance can't be overstated. But Quinnen Williams is the dog of the team. Make no mistake, he had 2 sacks today. Bryce Huff, really. But Quinnen closed the deal. Bryce Huff let him go. So, hey, it is what it is. You didn't close it. But Bryce Huff, my God, what he did on that play. Poof. But Quinnen Williams had 2 sacks before the injury. He's a stud muffin. So when he went out, that was huge. So CJ, we lose Corey Davis. We lose Quinnen Williams. CJ Mosley has the flub. Mike White gets hurt. Joe Flacco comes in, fumble, another 3 points. It was like 10 points, like crazy. And the team, the oomph went, and even out here, we felt it. It was like, oh my God, it's over. There's no way that we're coming back like this. Just not happening. Mike White came back. Number one. Hello. You don't see that in today's NFL. Can we talk about that? Can we not undervalue what that was? The guy got crushed numerous times, and the last one by Milano was devastating. They're talking broken ribs and everything else. He goes into the locker room. He's gone for whatever long period of time. The Jets, the whole team sinks. He comes running back out, Mr. Man, with a sack on him, and the whole team gets elevated again. Guys, if you didn't see that, I have no idea what to tell you. It was night and day. Before the injury, during the injury, after the injury. Completely different teams. The whole team. Because Quinnen going down, while he's the best guy on our defense, the truth is, is there's nobody on the team that's going to give you what he's going to give you. But moving JFM and Sheldon Rankins in there, we're not talking about slouches. I mean, as a matter of fact, Sheldon Rankins got a sack right after that. Not too long anyway. Nathan Shepard was even playing balls to the wall. What did he do? He didn't do shit. He had no tackles, no hurry. He had one quarterback hit. That's funny. I remember him being in there. I mean, they got to give him hurries and stuff like that. He was in there. I saw him. It's funny, right? What you think and what's real. But again, I don't know if this is accurate stuff. They're just compiling things. I know what I saw. But anyway, the point is, even though Quinnen is, clearly, without question better than who's replacing him, the guys replacing him are actual NFL quality starters and maybe even upper echelon NFL starters. Like Sheldon Rankins is very good. JFM is very good. They're not Quinnen, but they're very good. Going from Mike White to Joe Flacco, with all due respect to old Joe. Come on. It was a night and day difference. And you got to give that to Mike White. We'll find out what the injury is. I don't know at the time of recording this. We'll find out what it is. But no matter what it is, you got to give it to him, man. He was clearly in pain the rest of the day, and he played through it. You don't see that every day. Now, there's some motivations there. Let's be real. Let's call it what it is. He knows if I'm out the rest of this game, there's a good chance that Zach starts next week and maybe he loses the whole opportunity. So maybe there's some motivations, but if he was legitimately injured, they're not letting him back in there. So we had to fight through that. Now, the only other positive there is that you saw the difference between Mike White and Joe Flacco. The team fell off a cliff. So there's that. You saw it. You can't take away what's real. What's real is that when Mike White came back, the offense started clicking again. And the defense, for that matter, amazing. So why else did we lose? I talked about, I didn't yet. The Michael Carter fumble after the Jermaine Johnson blocked punt for the safety. Perfect. I would have loved a touchdown, but it was a safety and we got the ball and we were driving, baby. We had them on their heels. It was one of those situations, man. The momentum was ours. We just got a free 2 points by blocking their punt. They give us the drop kick. We get it. We're driving down the field, and Michael Carter, who's another one. He's not a fumbler. And he fumbles, diving for the first. I mean, good play. They knocked it out. So it is what it is, but it's like, I mean, come on. So now we were going in. We were going in at least a field goal there, and then the whole game's different. You see it? The whole game's different. We would have scored a touchdown on that one, though. We had already scored in that half. You saw it. You knew it. You felt it. You saw what was happening, and we fumbled. That's it. Now, here, I'll give you some honorable mentions. Those are the reasons we lost, guys. That's it. Again, it's not Mike White. It wasn't Bam Knight. It wasn't Sauce Gardner. It wasn't Garrett Wilson. So that's why we lost the game. That's why we lost. It wasn't because of anything else. You can make it a million things. Those are the reasons we lost. Now, what I'm going to say is this, and this is going to piss some of you off. I think you need to be mad, quite frankly. The debate about who our starting quarterback is this year is over. Now, if he's injured, different story. So we learned two things in the Buffalo game. Two. We got confirmation that Mike White is a significantly better option at quarterback this season than Zach Wilson. It's not even a question. If you're questioning it, but Zach is 5-2 and he's 1-2. I'm going to take care of that for you in a second. I'll take care of that for you in just a second. It's all useless. It's all dumb. It's all weak arguments built on sand. And the other thing we learned is that Joe Flacco should not be the backup quarterback for this team anymore. Joe Flacco should be literally in a quasi-coaching position for the rest of the year. Even if you want to continue and bring him on as a assistant quarterback coach, great. Joe Flacco cannot come on the field and play for this team anymore. He's not the best option. Now, I know this staff, they like to drag their feet on big changes and all. I get it. This is not one of them. It should be Streveler. Or if you feel like Zach Wilson is ready, bring him in and have him be the backup. The only problem that does is it causes people in the stands to go, start Zach. You get all that stuff. which is what they're trying to avoid, honestly. It's not a good look. It's not good for the team. I don't think the team has there's no division on this team. There's no one on the team thinking that Zach should start over Mike White. Not one person. I'd be willing to bet $1 million if I had it. I'd be willing to bet $1 million there's not one player on our team that thinks Zach Wilson should be starting over Mike White. It's night and day. So let's take just a quick look. You talk about 5-2. All right, 5-2, and Mike White is 1-2 currently. It's pretty tough. Well, one guy played 7 games, and one guy played 3. So there's that. So it's real hard to look at. Okay, but let's look at another stat. People say, hey, man, he's only got 3 touchdowns in 3 games. Well, okay, so let's look at this. Actually, I like to include rushing touchdowns, and I'll do it for both. Because I don't know why they don't do that. Mike White has 3 touchdowns and 1 rushing touchdown, so that's 4 total touchdowns in 3 games. Zach Wilson has 4 in the air, 1 on the ground, and he received 1. So Berrios threw him 1, so that's 6 in 7 games. If we're just talking about in the air, you got 3 in 2 games, 4 in 7 games. Do you see it? Do you see it? What leads to victories? Points. What leads to points? Offense, right? Moving the ball, being able to actually use the field and get down there and get to the other end, which is the end zone. That is how we do it. Zach Wilson in 2021 had a 179 yard per game average. 179 yards per game. He had 1 game over 260 yards in 2021. That was the real fun one against Tennessee, sending Corey Davis to the end zone. He had 297, which, by the way, they say he never had 300. That's 300. You know what I mean? Come on with this crap. So he had 300 yards, again, the Tennessee game. But that was the only game he had over 260. He had 1 game, 250-something. And everything else was like 200, 210, 180, stuff like that. He only has 1 game over 260 yards in 2022. That was the Pats game where he threw 355. Sadly to say, he also literally lost us the game with his 3 interceptions. So it's a bummer. It's a toughie. Mike White in 2022 played 4 games. He had 953 yards, 5 touchdowns, and 8 interceptions. Now, we know that's a little skewed because of the 4 interception Buffalo game. But it is what it is. So he had 5 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, but he had just under 1,000 yards with 935 yards in 4 games. In 2022, he's got 952 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions in 3 games. He's got a career 65% completion percentage to Zach Wilson's. It's really quite amazing. He has a 55.6 completion percentage in 2021, and amazingly, a 55.6 completion percentage in 2022. It almost gives you the idea that that's kind of who he is. Almost. Not that I necessarily believe that, but it could give you that. It could give you that indication. Give you that sneaking suspicion, right? 55.6 over 20 games. So last year, Zach had 9 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. This year, again, he's got 4 touchdowns through the air, 5 interceptions, 1 touchdown on the ground, and 1 touchdown that Berrios threw to him. Now, people, it's just I never heard people say this to me before, but I've heard it probably 15 times in the last 2 weeks. Well, I guess all that matters to you is yards. I guess stats are all that matters to you. Do you realize how low on the totem pole that you have to go where you start minimizing quarterback stats? Again, I've told you, box score is not it. Box score is not the whole story. There's always more to the story. But dude, when you start looking at 2 quarterbacks and one quarterback has 4 touchdowns in 7 games and one has 3 touchdowns in 3 games, and one guy has 953 yards in 3 games and the other guy has 1,207 games, One guy has a 65% completion percentage. One guy has a 55% completion percentage. You cannot start talking about that quarterback with all the lower numbers is somehow better than the other guy. You can't, if you're minimizing those like yards and touchdowns and those types of things, your argument is gone. There is literally no comparison between the Zach Wilson that we've seen in 2021 and 2022 and what Mike White has given us in the handful of games that he started, but enough games that it's consistent. Remember, 315 yards and 3 touchdowns, 369 yards, and the one rushing touch. He had the one that he ran in, and then he had the 2 picks, and today he had 269 yards. There's no comparison. 77 yards, 121 yards, 110 yards. There's no comparison. And you see the team. It would be one thing if there were people like lobbying for Zach, and of course, okay. And it's funny, I got accused today of being stuck on Mike White. Stuck, like I've been here all season. Remember, a few weeks ago, I was called a Zach Wilson apologist for saying I think you should give him more games. 2 weeks before that, I said I was concerned. I got called a Zach Wilson hater. Now that I'm just looking at the TV, that I'm watching the game the same way you are, I'm seeing a quarterback who can actually move the offense on a consistent basis. And my opinion is being formulated by that. I'm now called a Mike. They're saying I'm stuck on Mike White. Being so stuck. I'm watching the game. Quite frankly, this is the best quarterback play that we've seen since Ryan Fitzpatrick. It's not even up for debate. McCown had a few games there, sure. Sammy had a couple, remember Denver and Indy, sure. Zach had a game here, of course. What Mike White has given us is the most consistent, positive quarterback play that we have seen in at least 7 years. And before Fitzpatrick, it was another 5 years. For me, I'm just telling you, I base my opinions. I'm not stuck on anybody other than Denzel Mims. That's it. I'm not stuck on anyone. If Zach Wilson were to come in and throw for 380 and win, I'd love it. I'd love it. But let's just be real. The quarterback battle, barring injury, is over. It's over. There is no way that you can pull Mike White from this team. The team would completely, there'd be mutiny. Mutiny. You can't do it. Everybody's play is elevated. Everyone. Elijah Moore, dude, we couldn't get him a single pass. He had 6 today. 2 last week. He had touchdown. Dude, it's a whole different thing. Garrett Wilson's breaking records. He had 162 yards last week. He had another, 80-something yards this week. Look at the numbers with Zach. He had a couple, 2 good games. Everything else is 40 yards, 20 yards. He had one with 7 yards. Garrett Wilson had 7 yards. Can we please stop already? And again, if you're one of the people that are holding out, Zach's the guy, you're completely ignoring what's right in front of our face. Come out of the woods. The war's over. It's so funny. It's crazy town. It's crazy town to me. Well, so the war's over. Joe Flacco should be benched for Streveler and or Zach. I don't care. But he shouldn't be up there. Quinnen Williams, we got to see what's up with him. And the Jets lost to arguably the best team in the league. And that is the news of the week. Yeah, man, I'm real sorry. I am. And I'll be called a hater. I know I'm going to look in the comments. It's going to be a blast. You're a hater. You don't know this. 5-2. I'm going to see it all. I'm going to see it all. If you think 5-2 while the quarterback threw 110 yards, I mean, if that's somehow the quarterback won that game, I don't know what to tell you. I just don't know. I don't know why Jets fans aren't happy to finally see competent quarterbacking. I mean, hasn't it been long enough? Come on. So again, there were reasons we lost. None of them named Mike White. None. None of them were named Mike White. None were named Bam Knight. And, none were named Garrett Wilson. But we lost. One of those reasons, an honorable mention that I had was a little bit about the coaching. So let's dive into that for just a few moments in this week's Intelligent Gripe. 4th and 1. You're down by 2 scores. You got 2 minutes, whatever it was left, minute and change. Some reason you're not calling timeouts. You're just not. You're letting 50 seconds, 40 seconds just roll off. I don't know why. Just letting it roll off. So we have to look at Robert Saleh right now. We got to look at Mike LaFleur and Robert Saleh. And what is it about this particular brain trust that doesn't seem to understand the true value of that moment in the game? So let's take a little look at this. Now, there are numerous examples, but let's keep it to this week's game against the Bills. Again, I think way up front is the 4th and 1. Now, there's going to be, and there's plenty of support. You need 2 scores rather than ruin the potential of not getting any when you're down there. You get the 1 score and you start over and then you try to get, I understand completely. And I know that analytics probably favors the going for the field goal there. But again, when you have a situation where it's 4th and 1, you're in their red zone, you have to make a statement right there. Again, it's not about the numbers, man. There's always going to be outliers. There's always going to be changes and differentiators. They're always going to be there. There's variables at play that will alter it. Now, I know these guys have that in there too. Actually, when 4th and 1 with this much time left, I know it. In the game this week, the Jets drove all the way down there. You have to tell them, we're taking that 3 feet. We're taking it, and we're taking it now. Because guess what? If you can't, you're not going to be able to get the extra touchdown, most likely, anyway. So I completely disagree. Now, I understand why Saleh did it. Again, I'm willing to bet that the analytics support it. I'm willing to bet. Again, there are numerous other scenarios at play that would alter it, not least of which is the statement that you tell your team, come here, gather up, go out there and get it. Show them who's boss. And there's something that happens. There's something that takes place when you give men that. And they'll get it. And then Buffalo sees them come out and say, holy shit, man, they're coming out. Now, they're going to be just as amped up and everything. You got to get it. So I disagree with that. And I think the tone there was kind of skewed. So you go ahead and you get the touchdown. You bring it to a field goal. Do you realize that your offense knows you only got to get to the 35, 40-yard line, 57? Dude can make that. Greg DeLay can make it, man. That's the thing about having a guy who can hit 60-yard field goals. You only got to get to the 40-yard line. Do you realize the burst of hope and attainability that you give the team when you do that? So, again, he chose not to. We got the field goal. You brought it up to 12, and we floundered. We failed. Now, the good news is the defense did stop him again. There's all kinds of questions about the onside kick. Again, I'm sure analytics said it. Just pin him back. Your defense has been playing like this. Dog, I get it. Fine. I disagree with that too, but I get it. Okay? Pin him back if you can. And squib it so they have to run it out so it's not a touchback. Great. I understand. But then there's the clock management thing. All right? We have these issues with the clock management. We've seen it time in, timeout. We've seen it week after week after week. Robert Saleh has, quite frankly, blown it. It's almost as if he's frozen. He's afraid. We had 3 timeouts going all the way to like 1:10 left. In my opinion, if you used the timeouts properly, you could have still, at that exact time, if everything else was the same, you could have literally still had maybe the 2-minute warning. You could have still been there if you played it right. He doesn't know how to do that. And it's a problem. And it's putting the team at a disadvantage. Okay? That's that side. And here's what I want to say about it. Robert Saleh has taken this team alongside of Joe Douglas. They have shown us that, number one, they know how to identify, evaluate, and procure truly talented people with the proper mindset that they want to have on their team. That has now taken root and manifested itself in a team that does not quit until the final second is done, until they're either in victory pose or the last whistle or whatever. This team plays all 60 minutes of the game. That alone, guys, we haven't seen that in a very long time. I can give you, just off the top of my head, 3 or 4 games where the team quit last year. Flat out quit. The year before, they were done after the first quarter. We've seen teams play half-assed for years. We have shown that we can find them, get them, and put them in a position where they are going to, together as one, play the entire game balls to the wall. So we have no quit. We have a team that has completely bought in to whatever Robert Saleh, Jeff Ulbricht, and Mike LaFleur are putting out there. And in addition, look at what John Benton's done with this friggin' offensive line. Do we have lost tackle after tackle after tackle after guard after tackle after tackle? Now, while it's not perfect, dude, we're still fielding a middle-of-the-pack offensive line. You got to give that. Now, at any time, this team could have crumbled. We're on our 5th tackle. What are you going to... Of course we suck. You have a team that believes. We've had injuries up and down the roster. Defense, offense, wide receivers, running backs, offensive line. Some of our truly great players, AVT, Breece Hall, we lost them. Again, a team can completely implode in the face of those types of losses. What have we seen? Somebody else come in and almost looked like they're just as good. Look at Herbig. Now, of course, he's not just as good as AVT, but he's playing damn good football. Look at Bam Knight. Now, do I think he's Breece Hall? I don't. But holy shit. So the whole thing is this. We have to remember that this team is young. These coaches are new. This GM is doing this for the first time. They've only been together for a year and a half. Little over. Let's say 2 years. Why not? They've been together for 2 years, and we've already seen structural changes to what this team, the New York Jets, is. The clock management, it's going to take a minute. Now, I'm of the belief that he's going to get it because he's detail-oriented, and that's what he does. He's going to figure it out. It's not there yet, and we're going to have to eat that shit sandwich until he gets there because he's taking care of everything else. And you can see it. It's one thing when there's no progress. It's one thing when the guy you think should be starting is sitting on the bench because of somebody else. When that guy sucks who's out there, you have an argument. When he's playing well, shut up. You see what I mean? If the guy they're putting out there is the guy that you think shouldn't be out there, but he's balling out, shut your face. It's the way it goes. Now, if he's not, then you have a gripe. If he is, shut up because it's working. When the rotation, we didn't like it. It wasn't working the first couple. As soon as it started working, guess what? Shut up. It's working. You still might not like that guys are getting under 70%. This guy's only got, I don't like Jermaine Johnson's time. It's working. Shut up. And that's the thing that we have to remember, is that they are new, they are young, and they're clearly getting it. It is undeniable. This team is night and day from what we've been watching for the last 12 years. And even before that, night and day. Sure, we lost 2 games in a row. But again, we didn't lose them by getting blown out. We didn't embarrass ourselves. We went to 2 hard-to-play places against some of the best teams in the NFL, and we had them on the ropes. So we couldn't close it. That's what it is. That's all it is. We couldn't close it. A few key mistakes, a drop pass, a fumble, shit. But that's how close the games are. Can we be proud of this damn team and have hope in our coach, in our general manager, in our staff and our players? They blew it with the time management, no doubt. This team is clearly on the upswing. And if you can't see that, then I don't know what to tell you. And that is the intelligent gripe. You hear my voice? My voice is going out. I don't know what it is. I'm like, I don't know. I'm talking too long. It's a fucking hour and 20 minutes. What am I doing here? Yeah, guys, again, I want you to know something. I don't want us to lose games. I did not like that we lost both of those games. In my opinion, we should, not only could, should have won both of those games. But I got to tell you this too. I have not been as proud of this team as I am today, as I have been this season, in decades. Since 2010. That's the last time. I have not been as proud of this team as I am now in 12 years. And that includes 2015. I loved it. I had a good time, but I knew in my heart, man, if we make it in, maybe we can make some noise, but this is all this team has. It's this year or nothing. We knew it. Paper champion. This is totally different. And I'm psyched. And the fact that we still argue and bicker amongst each other about a quarterback who threw 77 yards the last time we were on the field, embarrassing 2 yards in the second half. The fact that we're still arguing about that in the face of a quarterback who's had 3 pretty much 300-yard outings with 500 yards of offense, I don't even understand. I don't understand. Let's be proud of the damn team. I'm having a good time. I hope you are too. If you are out there having a good time, good for you, man. This is some damn good Jets football. It's all I wanted. At the beginning of this year, at the end of last, all I wanted is what we have. And I, for one, am grateful, psyched, and having a fucking blast. I hope you are too. Thanks for hanging out with me today on episode 96 of GreenBean's Jets Pod. Please don't forget, you can save 20% with Manscaped. Have a great week, everybody. And as always, go Jets.